That's better. And wipe off the old screen there. See if anyone's out there. I need to get better at announcing when I'm going to do a live thing. I just figured I would turn this thing on and see if anybody's out there. Ricardo. What's up, Dan? He says. What's up, man? How you doing? Just trying to get my act together here. Let me scoot this back a touch, up a touch. There we go. Cole, what's up? How you guys doing? I was up here working on a pedal board rebuild sort of thing for the studio. And I was playing around with this Nobles Overdrive that I've used off and on over the years, and it sounded really good just now. So figured I'd get on here. I need to make this brighter. Let's see you guys. I've got my little Princeton up here. I don't know how loud that is on the video. Then I kicked on this Nobles and I was loving the way it sounded. Got a little bit of reverb, this 63 spring reverb coming from the M9. I need to make that brighter. John, greetings. Hey, John. Hey, Darcy. Hello, Daniel. I'm sorry. If I pronounce that name, I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably mess it up. We got Barbara, Alan, Christina, Brian, Ricardo. What's up, guys? Yes, this is a half step down. John asked. I was doing I think I was playing a track, recording a track here in the studio, and I needed to be a half step down. A lot of times if I'm playing in, if the song's in F sharp, for example, instead of capoing and playing like E chord shapes, which is one way to do it. Like you can get, I don't have a capo up here. It's in my bag. I'll grab it. But if it's in F sharp, what I'll do is I'll just tune the guitar down a half step and play in G. Or if it's let's see, if it's an E flat, I would tune down and play E shape. Or I can play C shapes for the key of B, which I like the key. I like playing C shapes. Let's see here. C shapes. To do is I play my C shapes, and then when you go to your 4 chord, so yeah, if you're playing in the key of B and you're not very good at playing in the key of B, or maybe you just want some different shapes, you can tune down a half step. So John, maybe that'll help answer your question about if I play a half step down. So yes, I do. Sometimes when we're playing live, Chris will say, man, it's just a little too high right now. My voice is tired. Let's take it down a half step so I'll tune down and play rather than re-memorize all my chord shapes. Luciano, hello, Daniel. What's up? How's it going? Victor, how to have the sound of a creamy Telecaster. Cole says, love the Tele, man. Awesome tone. Thanks. I love this guitar. You know, a Tele can take you a long way. I've got a couple of them. I've got 2 single coil Teles that I use a lot and one with humbuckers in it. And yeah, you can get a lot of mileage out of just a basic Tele. Because you can get, you know, like your, you know, you can get like the clean, beautiful, clean, verby thing. You know, like if you needed like a. Sound, but then if you need to, like, you know, really go big, you know, you can get there with like a. So you can get pretty distorted with it, and you can also get clean with it. And if I had to take one guitar out to play a date, it would probably be a Tele. You can just get a lot done with it. And you know, you can go like middle position. If the back position gets too bright, the bridge, sometimes that middle position is nice for a lead tone. You can stack. Let's see, what would be a good stack here. You can stack a couple things and get like a good. You know, like, okay, we were in the key of C. Let's see if we can get this. Position. Sometimes I'll just roll this tone back a little bit and maybe play. So all I'm doing there is just adding a. I think I stomped on just one extra stage of gain there. So yeah. Okay, we. Thank you. He says you can pronounce my name like Abby Yantz. All right, awesome. Okay, I got a question in here. If you could go on tour as a hired musician for any artist, who would you pick? I don't know. I feel like I get to live the dream already as it is. It seems unfair to ask for. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, kidding about asking for anything else, but not kidding about the dream job. I feel like I already get to do what I love to do, and I don't even know what that would mean. Gosh, there's so many. I really love playing like I love playing rhythm guitar. So I think if I could, it'd be fun to be playing behind a a musician that was really like a great soloist, like a great, you know, like a Mike Campbell or something. You could sit in behind him and just play rhythm guitar and listen to him play these beautiful, wonderful leads all night. But as far as, gosh, man, I don't know. That's really hard. Okay. Sorry if I don't have a good answer. That's a great question. What about you? Who would you pick? Ricardo says, was wondering when you could talk about what you would play on a verse versus bridge versus chorus part of the song. That all depends, that all depends on, what song we're talking about. A lot of times a verse for me will be smaller sounding. So a verse might be like, a verse might be like a, might be like muted or like small, like maybe like a. And then if there's a chorus, I'm just making something up. A chorus might be like, like say the chorus is like a 4-1-6-5. You could do like a. And then maybe the bridge, if it's like a soaring thing and it needs to really be up high, you can either do a 2-note thing where you're like stomping on maybe an extra level of drive and playing like a. So sometimes it means you're saving your 8th note or 16ths for the bridge if it's a big bridge. If it's a down bridge, then then it's more like maybe I'm kicking on verb and delay and I'm doing like. I'm making stuff up. It's not a song. I'm not playing a song. But I was just giving some examples. So the bridge would either be like a high soaring lead thing, or maybe I'm adding an extra level of gain and playing the same part as the chorus, if the part is the same as the chorus. So yeah, I don't know if that would help you at all. But yeah, it's hard. I would probably have to do an entire song demo to show you that. One example would be like the song At the Cross that we do. Let's see. That's probably. I'm just trying to think of an example. The verses would be like. Let's see. So the verses might be like. So the verse would be real chill. That'd be like verse 1. And then that first chorus was like, 2, 3. Up here, maybe. bridge on the record, there's a guitar line and there's a rhythm guitar. So on the bridge of that song, I can't play both. And the guitar line felt like maybe it was missing some strength and some guts. So live, when we get to the bridge, I play chords. So like I've been playing. The second chorus. Sorry, second chorus is like. That's like the second chorus picture. And then when we get to the bridge, the "Here My Hope Is Found," I just start digging in, and I'm like, I might put on a little bit of verb, but there's no delay, and I'm like, I'll play that all the way through the bridge. And then when we get back to the cross at the end and it gets really big, then I'm back to a version of the chorus picture, but I'm playing up high. So I might be playing like 2, 3. So, all right, that's a lot of information, but you can see kind of you're just building the song, right? Especially if it's a song that builds, if that first chorus isn't like slamming, then you kind of have to build. So verse 1 is quiet, chorus 2 maybe you inch up a touch, or chorus 1, I mean, verse 2 you give it a little bit more, chorus 2 a little bit more, and then by the bridge you're getting bigger, and then by the end of the song it's everything you got. So so that's kind of how I would build the song, a little bit at a time. So I hope that's an answer. Does venue size affect how much delay and reverb you use at a concert? I mean, that's a great question, John. Yes. We use in-ears, like monitors. So the room size, it does affect the ears, but not as much. And it's really hard for me to play dry, like really dry. I don't play that wet with my effects, but they're on. So what the main thing I probably wouldn't change my delays too much, because a lot of that's programmed in. I might a little bit, especially if it's like a really washy big, like an arena or something that's really bad acoustically. And you can tell when you walk in and you hear the snare drum in the room, if you don't have your ears in, you're like, oh man, this is really going to be boomy. Then I'll be really more focused with my tones. Like I'll pick a part that's really simple that I know is going to translate in a big room. I might dry up the delays and verbs a little bit. So to answer your question, yeah, probably so. If we're playing at a festival and we're outside in this big field and there's no reverb, you're just out in an open field, then I'll use more reverb typically for that kind of night, just so it doesn't sound so dead out front, because you know how those places sound if you've been to a festival before. It can be a little brutal, and sometimes the wind can carry the sound away, and it can be kind of brutal. So yeah, I definitely do change it. I'll see. Thanks for that question, Damien. Hey, what's up? Appreciate the videos, man. Keep them coming. I plan on it. I'm trying. Thanks for saying that. I'm having fun with it. What are some of the parts you play on the song White Flag, Cole says. And Brian asked about God's Great Dance Floor. He says, on the beginning of God's Great Dance Floor, are you just straight guitar, or do you have any effects? It sounds so clean on the Passion recording. Hey, Brian, do you mean the lick? This is the wrong key, but are you talking about the... You talking about the main lick, or are you talking about the that thing? Yes, he says. I think he means yes, the lick. Okay, for that, I typically play, I think it's no reverb and a touch of quarter note delay from historically that was the Boss DD5 with just like a bang, 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 just like a real clean digital delay. And the only reason I do that is just to kind of thicken it up a little bit because you're only playing, let me get a capo. You're only playing like a couple of notes, right? So I wanted it to be as... All right, this is the wrong key by 1/2 step because this is tuned down, but I usually do capo 3 in standard tuning. Capo didn't like that, or the guitar didn't like that, I should say. Capo doesn't have feelings. It's possible I would have verb on, but if I did, it would be like, I mean, barely, just a little bit of air. So what I typically do live with that, most of the time, that's that full drive pedal, and I use the boost side as well. And what that does is that allows me to have some a little bit of extra dirt, but I crank the tone on the thing so that you get lots of clear top end. On live, like Passion, that probably was that thing. Maybe with this guitar or the Fano guitar that I have. For the album version of that song, I think it was this straight into my matchless combo, not this one, but the combo. And I was just plugged straight in playing kind of like a cleaner version of it, like. You know, and what I like about the important thing about playing a riff like that, at least for me, when I'm playing it, what I'm hearing is, does it sound thick enough? So that's why I'm adding that, the ringing. The reason I'm adding the ringing string is because I want it to sound nice and thick when I play the riff. But I want to be able to hear the note definition because it's got a lot of tracks and synths and stuff. And I want to make sure that it's really coming through. So I'll use a good bit of top end on a song like that. You know, I might boost the top end, like I might turn the tone up a little bit on like the RC booster or the full drive or something, just to get it to cut through. And then I play the part like, you know, if it's too dirty, you can't hear it. If it's too dull, you can't hear it. And the other tricky part about that part is I like the way that riff sounds on the neck pickup. So I'm up here on this pickup, and that typically is the more warm, low-endy, muffly sounding pickup. So if I want it to cut through, I got to really work at getting the top end to cut through. So what I would use for that, let's see. I would use, I don't have my DD5 on here, so I'll just pick digital delay. I would turn off all mod. There's no modulation for this kind of thing, at least in my mind. And then quarter note, let's see. Quarters. And I would just use it real clean. upswing, like the, the gated synth kind of thing. And I'm just kind of playing along with the synth thing until the chorus is. And then on the chorus, it's the same thing, neck pickup. And then the only thing I really do to change is after the big kind of right when it gets to like the big trumpet solo thing, I'm back pickup bridge, no effects, and I'm playing the actual chords. Sorry, it's driving me nuts. My B string is just a little sharp. So I just like those chords for that song. So you can hear it. It's a way to play the rhythm guitar, which is like. And play. So to play them together is like. There you go. There's not too much going on there. So yeah, Brian, I hope that helps. There's not a lot to play. I mean, not a lot going on that song. It's just a party, right? So you just want to be loud and proud. But it is kind of wild in like a big room. So I like to make sure it's nice and tight with the band, and I don't put a lot of effects on there because I want it to sound real deliberate. So thanks, man. Joao, man, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Joao Duarte, your opinion about HX, Kemper, and IR in general. I don't know that I have an opinion. I am so familiar with real amps and pedals that's kind of my comfort zone. That stuff is getting really good. I have a Kemper here at the studio that I tour with that I keep just in case. It's just, I usually have it in the dressing room in case I need to work on something, or I keep it on stage or nearby the amps. Sometimes if an amp goes bad and we just didn't have, like, say we didn't have an amp, I always have a backup amp, but let's say the amp died and then the backup amp died, I would have the Kemper. There's a couple of matchless patches on there that are really good. Those Michael, I think it's Michael M, the M Brit matchless patches are really good. I've never profiled any of my stuff. HX I have heard great things about. I do not own one. I haven't played one, but I've heard some really convincing stuff on there. And the let's see, IR in general. I haven't really. I can't say much about the impulse response thing. Sorry, I wish I knew more. That stuff's so good. Some of those guys can really make that stuff sound convincing. I'll say at home to my ear so far, really clean chords, finger picking, swells, reverb, all that kind of washy stuff is really great on the Kemper. And then when I go to play like a lead line, sometimes the top end, I wish I had my amp, but it's really convincing. I don't know that you would notice in the track, to be honest, but for my ears so far, I really like just playing through this, mic'd up with like a 57, and I can get really happy. But yeah, that stuff's getting really good. I was in the studio with a session guy who's also a really great touring artist, and they played, big shows, lots of shows a year, and he was saying they used the Axe effects. I think it was the Axe 8 or AX8 or whatever they call it, and he said it's amazing. So who knows? I may come around someday, but right now it's just real amps and 57s for me. Thad says, do you usually reserve a pedal spot just for dotted 8s? DD5, DD20, etc. I'm trying to roll with just an L cap for everything. And the El Capitan's great. It's really good. You know what you could do for that pedal to make it convincing to do for everything is to, sometimes with delays that have mods on them, the mod can get so chorusy that to my ear, sometimes it starts to bother my ear like everything sounds out of tune. I don't know if anyone else has dealt with that, but a lot of times I'll take a delay like that already has a lot of character, and I'll just take the mod out for live, and then you can get, a pretty convincing, just DD5 or DD20 kind of sound. I wouldn't think you'd have to have it. It's more about what you want to do with the delays. If you're trying to stack two delays together, something like the El Cap has the multi-tap function. So it's just about your needs, I would say. Like if you need a really specific BPM, then you can't program that into the El Cap, but you can feed it BPMs with like a BPM pedal, the Selah Quartz or the Disaster Area Designs or any of those companies that make that stuff. That could be you could get it modded. I had mine modded by this one's mine. Dan modded my El Capistan so that I could feed it BPMs. But to be honest, I haven't used it that much that way. But you can do that. But yeah, I think you could get by with the El Cap for everything. Why not? It's a great pedal. It sounds awesome. But yeah, the DD5 is so awesome. I mean, you could get by with the DD5 for everything as well. DD20 you mentioned, that's great. It's like a DD5, but you have the option to roll off the tone controls a little bit. John writes, are there any of Chris's songs you've forgotten how to play because you haven't played them in a while? Yeah, you're right. We haven't been on the road. Somebody asked me on one of these live chats to play a song the other day, and I totally couldn't play it. It's like it just fell out of my head. Most of them, though, are pretty locked in because God willing, we've got some concerts coming up in a couple weeks. We're going to do some outdoor stuff. We're calling it Worship Tailgate out here in Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. And really looking forward to that. Can't wait to be back with my guys and play some music. Hopefully, we want to stay safe, keep everybody socially distanced and all that good stuff. Thad also, do you ever use an EQ pedal or a sonic stomp anymore? I've been wanting to put that sonic stomp pedal back on. I think at one point it went bad on me and I just never got it fixed or replaced, and I just learned how to live without it and I just never went back to it. But I really loved having it, so maybe I should do that. It was good for switching between like a Les Paul and a Tele, which were my kind of two main guitars live. The Tele was always a little thinner, so sometimes I'd boost a little, give it a little bass, especially because I always typically in the past have preferred pedals that roll off a little bass, like the full drive or a tube screamer style pedal. And so you could take that sonic stomp and add a little thump to make something like a Tele sound a little fatter. So I would add the sonic stomp with the tube screamer style pedal, and that was a good option for me. Also with the Les Paul, it's not as bright, especially on the neck pickup. So when you go to the neck pickup of a Les Paul, it's always muddy. And so I would use something like the sonic stomp to like crank the treble on, and then I could get it to speak better for like a lead part or something. Let's see. Yahtzee guitar. Stoked I caught this live. Awesome. You were a huge inspiration when I was in middle school, high school, learning to play guitar at church. Man, thanks for saying that. Very kind. I'm glad that in any way that it was helpful. Anytime I can turn or help someone along the way. Yeah, I had a lot of help personally when I was learning. I was constantly looking up to other guys and asking them questions, and they took the time to teach me some stuff. And so I'm trying to do the same. He also wrote, live versus home tone. Do you lean more wet live or less, more gain or less? At home, I probably play cleaner. And then live, it's probably a little gainier just because you get excited, or you get, you're trying to get a note to stick through the mix, and live is a different thing. You got to just make it work how you can. And so for me, live, I'm probably a little gainier. At home and in the studio, when I'm tracking here at the house, sometimes I don't have an overdrive pedal on. I just use the amp. And live, that's almost never the case. There's almost always an overdrive or like the RC booster or something there's something always on hitting the amp, typically live, just to get it to kind of sit in the mix so I can hear it better and to get the right tone, shape, EQ, and gain. Whereas in the studio, man, maybe I just want that jangly, matchless thing, or like a big fat chord, and the amp a lot of times will do the job. Also, it's louder. If I'm sitting here playing with my Princeton, which is what I'm plugged into today, it's real quiet. It's not very loud. And then live, I've got two big amps, both pushing some air. So that's kind of what I like live, if I can get away with it. Thad says Dan Burgess is the man. He is. Love Dan. Ben wrote, greetings from the UK. No way. Hello. I can't believe anyone is watching that far away. That's awesome. It's really encouraging to me. The other day I looked at when you start a YouTube channel, this is all new to me, but when you start a channel, there's all these like analytics and stuff that you can read. And I try not to pay too much attention to that stuff, because I don't want to I want this to be about stuff that we like talking about, stuff that you're interested in, stuff that I'm interested in, and let's meet in the middle. Let's talk about stuff that matters to us. So I don't care too much for seeing what video did what on YouTube. But the other day I saw that you can look at the geography and see all where people are listening or where people are watching the channel, what country they're in. And I was blown away. Like a lot of them were in the United States. That's, maybe natural because that's where I live. But man, there were people from all over the world that had watched these videos. So that's so cool, man. I can't believe it. I'm blown away. It was like Brazil and India and UK and just thrilled that people are finding the videos. That's so cool. I had no idea what this would be when I started, but I just wanted to help people out and keep showing you guys some stuff that I've learned. Emmanuel says, hi, Daniel. Emmanuel from Hawaii. No way. Seen you a few times at HEM conferences. Yes, I remember playing those. Yeah, at the Ala Moana Hotel or some conference center or something like that. Is that right? Did I pronounce that right? Did I do okay? Ala Moana? Oh, man, it's been a long time. He says, I have a few things in mind. What's your opinion on Suhr guitars? I know they're really well made, and I have a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys that, he says, yes, I pronounced it. Yes. I don't know why that's in my head, but I got that stuck in my head. Suhr guitars, they're really good. I've got several friends that play them live, that tour with them, and they are great guitar players who I respect, and I know they're really well made. So I've never owned one. I have no connection to the company, but I know they're really well made, and the times that I've heard them, they sound great. So I'm sure that would be a great guitar. If you're looking for like a Fender style guitar that maybe is, something a little different. Thad says, how do you keep your hands in shape / healthy? It's so easy to get repetitive stress injuries. Man, that's tough. I was watching a video recently of Tom Bukovac, his YouTube channel, and he was talking about how he had some wrist pain or something at one point. He's like, man, there's this one thing that happens. If it ever happens, I put the guitar down, I walk away, I stop what I'm doing because I don't want to aggravate that. And to be honest, I do have some pain in here on this hand. This hand's never bothered me for some reason, but I think it's from leaning up against a guitar right here with like an acoustic. If I'm tracking for a long day in a session, or at home if I'm working on something, or long days of rehearsals. I mean, sometimes when we're in rehearsals, we're doing 10-hour rehearsal days, and I'll sit there all day doing that, and it just wears down my forearms. Occasionally I don't have too much finger pain or wrist pain. It's always in this forearm for some reason. So to answer your question, I think the only way to do this is to just is rest. You know, you got to take a break, work on something else, maybe work on the other hand for a while and give this one a break. But yeah, hope that helps. Ramon skipped my question 2 times. He has a broken heart emoji and a laughing face. Did I miss you? Man, I'm so sorry. You asked it twice, didn't you? I'm sorry. All right. He says tips on how to be in phase when playing stereo. Thanks, and please keep the videos coming. God bless from PR. Ah, man. Does that mean Puerto Rico? That's awesome. Is that what you mean? PR, Puerto Rico? Okay, when you're running 2 amps, the trick there, so it depends on your amps. You can get a unit that will flip the phase down at your pedal board. So exact Tone Solutions, XTS. He said, yes, awesome. We got UK, we got Hawaii, Puerto Rico. Man, shout out if you're from somewhere else that's not America. That's great. Just so I know, man. If you're in America, that's great too. So the back of this matchless amp, on the back of this amp, there's a phase switch. You got normal and reverse. And my AC30 has no options for that. So when I plug, I come out of my reverb pedal into 2 amps, sometimes out of the delay stereo into the reverb stereo into amp stereo. And so there's 2 ways to do this. Right now, I'm doing it with the back of the matchless amp. So if I feel like it sounds weird, I'll stand back between the amps and I'll flip that phase switch. And if it feels like it gets wide and thin, then that's wrong. And I'll flip it again. If it comes back in and feels big again and there's the bass response and everything, then that's how I run it. Greetings from Austria. No way. You got to be at it. That's crazy. You got to be kidding me. Love that. India. Abhyanth from India. So cool. Thad wrote Houston is its own country. Pronounced Houston with a Y. For those of you that don't know, Houston, if you're local, you don't say it with an H. You say Houston. Am I right, Thad? From one Texan to another. So yeah, the phase thing. So yes, you can do it with the back of the amp, or you can get a pedal. Exact Tone Solutions, who built my pedal board, XTS, here in Nashville, they did like a little junction box that goes to my pedal board. And on the side, I can choose between a couple of things. And I think they make one that has a phase switch. So that was one option. You could flick that phase switch on that. So yeah, I hope that helps. You know, the phase thing is tricky because you may not know. You know, I would start by making sure the amps are in line with each other. You know, they're not like facing funny. Make sure the mics. I don't know. I'm not very good at that, but I flip the amps until it sounds right, and then I ask. I trust our engineers. You know, I ask front of house engineer. I ask our monitor engineer. Like, hey. Sometimes I'll ask them if I don't have the option to do it with my amps. Hey, can you flip the phase on that in my ears and see? And he'll flip it at the mix desk. And if it sounds worse, then I'm like, okay, go back. You know, that's kind of how I do it. Ramon says, like the interfacer. Okay, need that. Yeah, baby. Okay, good. The weird country of Maryland, Brian writes. Hey, but you got the crab cakes. I've had them in the harbor. Maybe it's not the harbor. It's called the Rusty Scrupper or something like that, right there on the water. Man, they were the best crab cakes ever. Is that right? Rusty Scrupper, something like that. It was a funny name. Had a funny name to it. Ah, man. Make sure I didn't miss any. Looking for a dirt pedal to use with my practice rig AC style amp. Brian says. Also, John wrote, saw you the first time at EFCA Youth Conference 2004 Salt Lake City. Wow. EFCA youth conference. Man, Salt Lake, 2004. Gosh, that's going back 16 years. I don't know. I have a vague memory of those conferences. We did a lot of those back in the day. We used to do like, oh yeah, Rusty Scupper. Nailed it. I may have mispronounced it. Okay, back to that question. Dirt pedal for an AC style amp. You know, it kind of depends. You know, if it's a practice rig, you know, you just want something that has enough gain that you don't have to turn the amp up, right? So I would say something like a tube screamer. If you're looking for something that has gain but doesn't have the mid hump, you know, then you're looking at maybe a different style of dirt pedal. Because some people don't like the way like a tube screamer sounds with an AC30. I've used it for years and been fine with it. I've always loved that sound. But if it's too much mid range, you could try something that doesn't have as much mid range, like the Nobles pedal is less nasal sounding. RC booster, AC booster. I've heard that the Greer Lightspeed is really good for that. Morning Glory is good for that. I've heard the Timmy is great for that. I've got a Timmy. It's not working at the moment, or I'll maybe show you. But yeah, it's hard to know. You just want something that's got some sustain and something that sounds inspiring to go with that. Let's see here. I may have to go. My wife is texting me. I may have to go get the kiddos. We got babies that were sleeping for nap time, so I stole away up to the studio to say hi to you guys. One sec. This is riveting for you guys, I know. I can't believe someone said hello from Austria. That's so cool. Emmanuel says, most churches in my context are low budget. But he wants to know, good musicians are very few in these small church contexts. Can you speak on the blue one, full drive? What was your question? I missed it somewhere. I'm sorry, man. I missed your question in there. You're asking about low budget churches, and I didn't hear. You said something about the full drive. Just your thoughts on doing ministry in a small church context. Oh, trying to copy big budget church productions in a smaller church. Well, man, I mean, these days you can do a lot with the digital. Like I've heard great results from like the Strymon Iridium pedal, something like that. It was cheaper than an amp, and I've heard it sounds great. And you would have no noise in your church. You know, there'd be no stage volume. Small amp would be good. You know, small amp. When I played at church before we had like isolation booths or any kind of stuff like this, we would just stick it in a closet somewhere. I would just run my cable back over to the corner and mic up. You know, just throw a bunch of cable over and just throw it in the hallway, throw it in the office somewhere, or back behind a pew in the choir loft and baffle it up. And you know, you just do what you got to do to make it. And the other thing is, you just don't crank it up as loud. You know, it may not be as inspiring, but you just keep the amp as quiet as you can to get it with a good tone, and then just use your overdrive pedals and stuff, and boost pedals, compressor, whatever you got to use to get the thing to sound the way you want it to sound. You mentioned the full drive. Yeah, it's a great pedal. It would obviously do the trick. I've used it at really low volume levels, like in theater concerts when we play theaters, which is probably the closest thing to what you're talking about. And then I've also used it in really big rooms. So it's, you know, something like which all the full drive really is like a souped up tube screamer with a lot of headroom. So any of those pedals that'll do that. JHS makes one, the Bonsai, that will do a lot of those and has a lot of headroom. You know, Nobles makes the mini ODR one. That pedal's great. I've heard good things about that. All right, I can only answer a few more, then I got to get going. This is so cool, man. I love talking to you guys. I'm new to electric guitar. Can you give suggestions for beginners like me? Man, I would start with Fender style guitar that stays in tune, Tele or Strat. I'd get an overdrive pedal like a Tube Screamer, and I'd get a small amp, Blues Junior, like a Fender Blues Junior. And you could probably get that entire rig for less than $1,000 US. And maybe like a little delay pedal, like a Boss delay pedal. You can buy them used. I don't know about in India, but maybe you could buy them used. Thanks for your time, Daniel. He says, hey, right on. God bless. Thanks, Brian. Somebody wrote, I use a Mosky Golden Horse, $30. Hey, go check that out. Mojo Hand Rook is good. Man, I've heard that's a great pedal. TS9 style, 3-way voice, it says. Another cool thing to get is a multi. I like a lot of dual pedals that'll do two things. So like something like a double barrel. You can get like a Tube Screamer and a Morning Glory, and you get like a sort of a less mid-focused drive / boost, and then a Tube Screamer. So something like that you can get a lot of sounds out of. So anyway, I need to get going. This is so cool, man. Thanks, guys. I really enjoyed hanging out. Sorry we didn't get to play a whole lot of guitar, but we did a little bit. And we'll keep cranking out these videos and keep talking to you guys. You guys have been so cool, man. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for subscribing and saying hello. And if you got more questions, hit them up later after this is over. Either on the last video I posted, or if you can still do questions on this one, do that, and I'll answer them in the next video. Thanks, guys. See you soon.